In 2013, Aquatic Wetline made its debut as an aquarium hobbyist podcast. It was hosted by Aqua Alex Cardinale, an aquarium hobbyist with a passion for tropical fish since the age of 12.
Aquatic Wetline was very successful because Aqua Alex shared his love and passion for fish keeping like only he could. You could hear the love of fish and passion for caring and educating about the fish in his voice. It attracted new hobbyists and even experienced hobbyists to tune in.
Aquatic Wetline went on hiatus for a couple of years. Now Aqua Alex has brought it back, this time right here on YouTube. Aqua Alex will host new episodes of Aquatic Wetline Fish Keeping Podcast, but it will be in video format and you may get to see some of Aqua Alex's personal fish.
Aqua Alex will discuss everything aquarium related from fresh to salt. What aquarium topic is in the aquarium for discussion tonight? Let's find out. Fish keepers, if you enjoy the show, please share the YouTube video URL on your social media. Now here is Aqua Alex.
Hello tropical fish keepers. Welcome to Aquatic Wetline. I'm your host, South American fish keeper and monster fish enthusiast, Aqua Alex Cardinale. Today, I am going to be talking about one of my personal favorite fish species. It's a fish species that is a monster species because all the species in this family grows relatively large. This fish species is widespread throughout the world. There are a couple of species that live in South America. There is a species that lives in Australia, a species that lives in Africa, and a species that lives in Asia. This fish species is widely loved in the aquarium hobby and is often respected. I'm going to be talking about the Arowana fish. The Arowana is a very majestic and graceful tropical fish that a lot of people love. Now, unfortunately for us in America, we can only keep the silver, the black, the Jardini, the Leichardti, and the African Arowana. We can't experience the beautifulness and gorgeousness of the Asian Arowana, unfortunately. Now, Arowanas are one of my personal favorite monster fish. I have kept silver Arowanas and I have kept Jardini Arowanas. I have yet to keep a black Arowana or a Leichardti Arowana or an African Arowana. So throughout this video, you're going to see my silver Arowana swim in my aquarium. Right now he's in my grow out tank, but soon he will go in the 6-foot tank when he gets big enough. So today I'm going to talk about all the different species of Arowanas and how to keep and care for them in the home aquarium. I'm going to show some pictures of Arowanas. I'll show some images of Arowanas that I've had in the past. I'm going to show a video of my current Arowana that I have right now. All that and more on this fun episode of Aquatic Wetline. I'm going to have a blast talking about Arowanas. So, to all the fish keepers that are watching this video, what do you like about Arowanas? Let me know in the comments. Do you have questions about Arowanas? If you do, post them in the comments and I will make sure to answer your questions. With that being said, let's go ahead and get the fun started. And let's start by seeing some photos of past Arowanas that I have kept. Now, I've been in the aquarium hobby since I was 12, and over all of those years, I've had many Arowanas. And like I said earlier, I've only kept the silver and the Jardini, and I admire both the silver and the Jardini. They're two of my favorite Arowana species. And I do have plans in the future to get another Jardini, a black, and an African arrow, because I do want the experience to keep them. So the first photo is actually a photo I took at the opening of a fish store in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's an Asian-owned aquarium store, and they love their Arowanas, and he created an Arowana display tank. And in this picture, you will see a mature Jardini Arowana along with a mature silver Arowana and a mature black Arowana. Now, this image proves that Arowanas can coexist if they are raised together in the same aquarium and purchased at the same time as these three Arowanas were. The Jardini is absolutely beautiful in this picture. It looks just like an Asian Arowana. That's a great image to start our show today. Now, the very first Jardini that I ever owned was way back in 2008 or so, and I got him from a wonderful fish store in my area. He was looking to get rid of it because he wasn't really into monster fish, and I ended up getting a good deal for this guy. This image is very bad. Remember, this image is circa 2008, circa 2009, so more than 2 decades ago. But you can see that I had my first Jardini around 7 or 8 inches or so, and he was a very, very gorgeous Jardini Arowana. And then in 2019, 3 or 4 months before I moved to Florida, I had the opportunity to get a juvenile Jardini and grow him out a little bit before I had to move, unfortunately. And here is an image of that juvenile Jardini Arowana that I got. Very, very cool fish. I miss having a Jardini. I'll definitely one day again have another Jardini. And the last Arowana photos that I've had in the past are all silvers. And I've had so many silvers I can't count, but they're still a gorgeous fish. This is one of the best photos that I took of a silver Arowana. Now, if you've never had a silver Arowana, they are one of the toughest fish to photograph because they're a top-dwelling fish. If you're taking a photo with a camera, that flash like really scares them, and they dart and they're hard to photograph. But I did my best with this picture. Here is another silver Arowana that I raised in the past. Very, very beautiful. Again, here is another decent photo of an Arowana that I raised. And this is an Arowana that I raised from egg sac all the way up to about 20 inches before I rehomed him. And he was a very nice fish, except for his jumping. He jumped a lot and he injured his barbels, but he turned out to be a nice fish. Very, very gorgeous Arowana. And I believe he's a wild-caught silver Arowana. And wild-caught Arowanas are very nice, except for the fact that you can't really tone down their jumping. You can't really do that with a wild-caught Arowana. So those are all images of past Arowanas that I have kept. Now behind me is my current Arowana that I am keeping right now. And I think right about now is the perfect time to show off my current silver Arowana. And then we'll start talking about the different species and keeping and caring for these guys in the home aquarium. All right, so that's a video of my silver arowana that I am currently raising. He's growing out in a 55-gallon aquarium behind me with some other fish. And I'm sure you'll see the arowana swim around all throughout this video. All right, so the first topic I would like to talk about for our show today is why I'm a fan of arowanas and why I like arowanas personally. And remember, you can share why you love arowanas in the comments if you wish to participate in the discussion. So, one of the reasons I like arowanas is that they're a very personable monster fish. I tend to find that large growing fish, fish that grow large, they have a lot of personality with them. They're very intelligent fish. They know who feeds them, who takes care of their aquariums. They'll start to recognize their owners after a month or so of being in the aquarium. And I really, really like that about arowanas. My arowana is skittish with other people. He will bolt in the direction of the opposite end of the aquarium when someone else that he doesn't recognize approaches the aquarium. But when I come by, he knows that I'm going to feed him market shrimp or tilapia, and he won't dart or try to jump because he knows that I am his food source and I give him food and I take care of his aquarium. So arowanas are a very intelligent fish and they're very personable, and I really, really enjoy that. The next reason I like arowanas is that they're a very fun fish to watch eat. They eat much differently than other fish, and there is a really particular reason for that. It's because they're a bony tongue fish. Arowanas are a fish that have hard bone plates in their mouth, and the way they get their food is they attack their prey, and then they close their mouth and they begin eating. It's a very, very cool thing to watch. I may not have given the best explanation of it because I'm not a scientist or ichthyologist, but it's really interesting to watch them eat. They eat much differently than other fish, and it's really cool. And also, arowanas are a really active fish. If you have a large aquarium and you're looking for something that's going to be active at the top of the aquarium, the arowana is your fish because it's going to constantly add some movement to your tank as well as adding coloration. Orange and silver on the silvers, gold and a little bit of red on the Jardinis, black and orange with the black arowana. And don't even get me started on the beautifulness of the Asian arowanas. It's unfortunate that the Asian arowana is illegal here in the United States, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. All right, so right now we're going to talk about what to know about arowanas. Here are some interesting facts to know about the Asian arowanas. Or excuse me, here are some fun facts to know about arowanas in general, all of the species of arowanas. So the first thing to know is that there are two species from South America. That's the silver arowana and the black arowana. The arowanas from South America are known as water monkeys because in the wild they will jump out of the water to attack any prey that's on a tree, whether it's an insect or a small squirrel monkey, etc. As arowanas get larger, they can take larger prey. There are two species from Australia, the Jardini and the Leichardti arowana. There's one species from Africa, the African arowana, although it's technically in the Armapuma family. And there's a species from Asia, the well-known Asian arowana. The next thing to know about arowanas is that they are jumpers, and they are really good jumpers. Arowanas can jump really high, up to 6 feet, and sometimes even more. So it's really important to have a cover on your aquarium. Now, the tank behind me right now is uncovered, and I do that during the day because I feed a couple times throughout the day. But when the tank is uncovered, I'm always around, so I will know if he jumps out or not. But for me, knock on wood, I've only had one arowana ever jump out. Now, in my experiences, arowanas will jump out of aquarium for a couple of reasons. The first is aggression from other tank mates. So it's very important that we're not putting a silver or a black arowana in a tank with aggressive cichlids from South or Central American. You definitely don't ever want to put any arowanas with African cichlids because you're asking for a disaster. So one of the major reasons arowanas will jump out of the aquarium is aggression and stress from being harassed by other fish. Another reason is water parameters. The water quality could be off. If an arowana is constantly trying to jump and get out of an aquarium, that's a sign that the water parameters aren't what they need to be, and it's stressing out because of the water parameters. Another reason why they may jump is that they see flies or insects, and their natural instinct is to jump and try to get that fly or that insect. So we can't really prevent them from jumping out if it's a natural instinct that's already in the fish. That's why it's important to cover our aquariums at night and when we're not home so that it cannot jump out of the aquarium. But I have been very fortunate that I've only had one arowana jump out. And I think part of that reason is because I put them with fish that are mild-mannered, not so aggressive, but fish that are too big for the arowana to even try eating. And we'll talk about tank mates for arowanas and the different species a little bit later on. Now, with Jardini and Leichardti, the arowanas from Australia, it's a whole nother story. They are really aggressive, and they can be kept with some of your more aggressive South and Central American cichlids, but definitely not the South American arowana. So the first thing I always tell people when they ask about arowanas is to know that they are prolific jumpers, and a lot of people lose them because they don't have a significant cover on their aquarium. Now, when I have went to net arowanas, when I would sell them or home them, they would jump out of the bucket. So you always have to have them covered anytime they're in water because they can jump when stressed. And I also recommend when trying to catch an arowana to drain the aquarium down to about 75% because that lowers the risk of them jumping, and they can't jump as high if there's not that much water in the aquarium. So other than them being jumpers, it's also important to know that they are a very large growing fish. The silver arowana is perhaps the largest. It could reach up to 4 feet in length, with the black arowana being a close second at 3.5 feet. However, the big difference between the silver and the black is that the black is a very thin arowana compared to the silver. The Jardinis and the arowanas from Australia can reach 3 feet, and the same thing for the Asian arowana. Another thing to know about arowanas is that they are very prone to a disease that only impacts arowanas, and that is drop eye. Now, drop eye is a condition in which the arowana's eye drops or droops down. That is caused by fatty deposits, and that can be caused by excess protein in their diet or too much protein. And a good cause of drop eye could be feeder goldfish. So that's why we want to avoid feeding them to arowanas. But sometimes it's just natural. It's a natural thing that happens to arowanas, and we can't prevent it as much as we try. So a lot of people, when they see a silver arowana with drop eye, they think, oh, it was bad fish keeping by that fish keeper. No, that's not necessarily true. It could be a natural phenomenon that happens in arowanas. Most of the drop eye occurs with the water monkey arowanas from South America, but occasionally Asians and Australians do get drop eye. It's just a natural thing that happens with this fish. And I think it's kind of a cool look for an arowana personally. Some people think it's a defect, but it's natural. We can't really do anything about it. I've had wild-caught arowanas that didn't have drop eye up to a foot, but then they developed it after they got a foot. They developed drop eye, so we can't really do anything to change it if it's going to occur in the fish. The next thing to know about arowanas is that they're known to bring luck. The Asians really value arowanas because they say arowanas are a lucky fish. They bring fortune and wisdom, and the Asians adore their arowanas. And I've learned a lot about arowanas through an Asian friend of mine. He really, really knows his arowanas, but unfortunately for me, he's a very shy person. I've invited him on the show numerous times to talk about arowanas, but he's afraid to show his face for whatever reason, but that is okay. And the next thing to know about arowanas is that they range in prices from $50 for a silver to $5,000 and sometimes more for the Asian arowanas. But don't worry, fish keepers that live in the United States of America, you will not find yourself spending thousands of dollars of Asian arowanas because they're illegal here. And the last thing to know about arowanas is that in the United States of America, we can only keep silver, black, African arowanas, Jardini and Leichardti arowanas. However, in Florida, it is so restrictive that we can only keep the silver arowanas, but there are fish keepers here in Florida that I know that have black and Jardinis, so they are accessible, but the fish stores around here will only sell silver arowanas. So those are the things to know about arowanas. Now it's time to start talking about the different species of arowanas and what to know about them. So let's start with the silver arowana. I'm going to give you some information on the silver arowana. Now, do note that I did a whole species profile on silver arowanas last year here on my YouTube channel. You can find the silver arowana care guide on the playlist Aquatic Wetline. But I'm still going to give you some information on the silver arowana right here, right now on our episode today. So while I'm going to give you some information on the silver arowana, I'm going to show you an image of a silver arowana briefly. So here is that image of a silver arowana. That is what a silver arowana looks like. Now, the silver arowana can grow up to 3.5 feet in length. That is a really large fish. Sometimes the silver arowana can even grow much larger, up to 4 feet in length, but that is incredibly rare. So with this being a really large arowana, we're talking about an aquarium in excess of 6 feet or more. So ideal aquariums for the silver arowana include a 180 gallon, a 220 gallon, 300 gallon, and larger. The bigger, the better for the silver arowana. They will even do well in outdoor ponds here in Florida as long as you have a secure lid on your pond. They're really good in outdoor ponds. Now, the silver arowana, very easy fish to keep. It can adapt to just about any water parameters, but try to keep them in their natural environment, which is in South America. And their natural environment there is a neutral pH, about 6.8 to 7.4, and the temperature there is about 72 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can find silver arowanas in Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, all over South America. You'll find silver arowanas, very, very gorgeous fish. The silver arowana is not a picky eater. It will eat just about anything, but I do recommend a diet that consists of crustaceans and insects because that's close to what they get in the wild. So I'd recommend a diet of raw market shrimp. We never want to feed cooked shrimp to any fish. Raw market shrimp is the way to go with silver arowanas or any arowanas. You could also feed them tilapia, scallops, and other freshly prepared seafood that is raw. The arowana will love that. They'll also love earthworms, cockroaches, and other insects. Crickets is another favorite of the silver arowana. They'll really enjoy a cricket every now and then as a special treat. And frozen bloodworms. And Akari also has carnivore sticks that the arowana will really, really enjoy. Now, let's talk about tank mates for the silver arowana. There is a wide variety of tank mates that can peacefully live with the silver arowana. For my recommended tank mates, I recommend South American cichlids that are on the mild spectrum, like the Severums, Hero Severums, and there's plenty of them to choose from. The chocolate cichlid is a great tank mate for arowanas. Warus are a great tank mate. Angelfish, believe it or not, are a perfect tank mate for silver arowanas. Discus are a great tank mate for silver arowanas. Festivums are also great. Earth eaters like the threadfin acara, the Santa Perca, or the Geophagus are great. Fiestae, true red terrors can work. Green terrors are a great cichlid. Non-cichlid tank mates would include silver dollars, Mylius, Mylosoma, Mentinus. Pacus, if you have a really huge tank, are a good tank mate. Flagtail Procelotus, red tail cats, tiger shovelnose, lima shovelnose, niger cats in a really, really huge tank. Basically, anything that the arowana cannot eat is a good tank mate as long as it's not aggressive. So there's your information on the silver arowana. Now let's talk about the silver arawana's other relative from South America, and that is the black arowana. One of the arowanas to elude me after all these years in the aquarium hobby. And I want to show you how gorgeous the black arowana is and how you can tell the difference between a black arowana and a silver arowana. So here is an image of black arowanas. The black arowana, as you can tell, is a lot skinnier and thinner than the silver arowana. And it's also black in coloration. And it has orange on its fins, like a yellowish orange on the black arawana's fins. The black arowana is a very, very colorful fish. It grows up to 3 feet, but is smaller in shape than silver arowanas. It'll require the same tank size, 180 gallons and above, and it will require pretty much the same care as the silver arowana. It's collected from Venezuela and Brazil and Colombia, and it's a really nice arowana. It costs a lot more than the silver arowana because it's only available seasonally. It's only available at certain points in the year, so it's hard to bring them in at all times, and that's why stores will charge a lot more for the black arowana. Now, as far as tank mates go for the black arowana, these guys are a little bit more sensitive than your silver arowana. So you're going to want to put them with peaceful, large-growing tank mates. I wouldn't want to put them with anything that might attack a black arrow because then you will lose such a beautiful, majestic creature. So good tank mates for the black arowana would be discus, angels, waru, and other mild-mannered South American cichlids like the threadfin acara. silver dollars, flagtail procholotus, and other fish that are peaceful but too big to be eaten. All right, that leads us to the third arowana species that we're going to talk about, and that is the first arowana that comes from Australia, and that is the Jardini arowana. A lot of people say the Jardini is the closest thing that Americans have to Asian arowanas, and I think that is really true. So here is a picture of a Jardini arowana, and that shows you how much of a beautiful fish the Jardini arowana really, really is. Now, the Jardini arowana grows up to 2 feet in length, so it does stay slightly smaller than the silver or black arowana. Now that it does grow to 24 inches in length, it still requires a 6-foot aquarium and larger. So 125, 150, 180, etc. would be perfect for the Jardini arowana. They're very hardy in their water parameters. They can live in pretty much any water parameters. You do have to consider that the Jardini arowana is a lot more aggressive than your South American arowanas. So their tank mates get a little bit more tricky because they will attack and defend their territory up top. A lot of people have tried tank mates and have failed, but as long as you buy a juvenile Jardini and grow it up in a tank with other fish, it can work. Tank mate ideas would include South and Central American cichlids, larger characins, larger catfish, etc. Pretty much the same care as the silver and black arowana, but you do have to realize the Jardini arowana is not an arowana to mess with. If a fish tries to mess with it, the arowana might kill it with one of its big bites from that bony tongue the arowanas have. But I do like the Jardini arowana, and I have a lot of respect for the Jardini arowana. It is definitely not a fish to mess with. All right. Right now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick intermission. And this intermission is brought to us by our friends at Little Egypt Aquarium Club, who would like to remind everyone watching this video, you can get 10% off your order by using coupon code ALEX. Little Egypt Aquarium Club has high-quality fish foods like medicated flakes to help quarantine your fish. They also have rapashi, which is a great fish food, and a lot of great aquarium supplies. When we come back, we're going to talk about the other arowana species, and I'll have some more awesome arowana talk for you, including why Asian arowanas are illegal in the United States of America. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back.
Are you a tropical fish keeper living in South Florida? You need to check out Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida. Aquatic and Exotic is home to quality freshwater and saltwater tropical fish. You will find African cichlids, South and Central American cichlids, goldfish and koi, and exotic fish. We also supply aquarium supplies like filters and heaters, aquariums, and lights. We also have quality fish food brands. Aquatic and Exotic is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Questions? Give us a call at 772-781-4046. Stop on by and check us out. 1525 A.C. Lockhart Street, Stuart, Florida 34994.
Aqua Alex here, and I'm proud to partner with Little Egypt Aquarium Club. Little Egypt Aquarium Club was founded by my friend Jeremy Stellhorn. Little Egypt Aquarium Club provides aquarium hobbyists with quality aquarium supplies. You will find sponge filters, pleco caves, and so much more. Little Egypt Aquarium Club also has quality fish foods. You'll find things like rapashi. Rapashi is a name brand fish food, perfect for placostomus, community fish, and even monster fish. You'll find medicated fish foods as well. Aqua Alex and Jeremy Stellhorn are teaming up to save you some money. If you use my discount code, which is Alex, you will get 10% off your order. So go to littleegyptaquariumclub.com right now, place an order, and use coupon code Alex, and you will save 10% on your order. Now back to the fish chat. All right, welcome back to Aquatic Wetline, the basics of keeping arowanas. What a great show so far. I've showed a video of my current arowana. I've talked about black arowanas, silver arowanas, and Jardinis. If you're just tuning in now, we're going to talk about Leichardti arowanas, African arrows, Asian arrows, and I have a couple more topics planned and some photos and videos of these great arowanas. So let's get right back into our arowana chat. And now we are going to talk about Leichardti arowanas, the other arowana species that lives in Australia. And I have yet to keep a Leichardti, and I've never seen them for sale, but they look very similar to a Jardini arowana. The image that's up on the screen is actually a Leichardti arowana. Now, the chin of the Leichardti arowana is pushed up from the bottom and gives this fish a sort of grumpy expression. There is a well-defined set of fleshy barbels shooting from the Leichardti arowana's lower jaw. Now, the Leichardti arowana can grow to 36 inches in length, and it needs to be kept in a very large aquarium, 180 gallons and above, in order for it to be happy. Care is pretty much the same as other arowanas. You know, give them a good diet and keep them with tank mates that are too big to be eaten. And that is a Leichardti arowana that comes from Australia. Now let's talk about the African arowana. The arowana that technically isn't an arowana, but people call it an arowana. The African arowana is actually in the family of Armapuma. And you know what? I forgot to get a picture of the African arowana, so I'll see if I can get one to show you and try to upload it here. We'll just do this one, and we'll see if I can upload it in time. That's what happens on live streams. Sometimes you forget certain things, but that's okay. I'm a quick individual, quick with wit and quick on my feet. I don't know about that, but I guess they say I am. All right, so let's see. It's uploading now, so hopefully there we go. And here is an image of an African arowana. Now, it looks just like an Armapuma, and that's because it is in the family of Armapuma, but for some reason, the scientists and the ichthyologists put the African arowana in the bony tongue family along with the arowanas. But it's really cool fish nonetheless. Despite being called an arowana, the African arowana is more closely related to arapimas. African arowanas can reach up to 3 feet in length. African arowanas have air-breathing organs, enabling them to survive in oxygen-depleted water. The species is widespread throughout Africa. Now, the African arowana is one of the hardest arowanas to keep in the aquarium hobby because, unlike all the others, which are surface feeding predators, the African arowana is not. It was once considered to be a filter feeding fish, but recent studies have actually shown that it's an insectivore, omnivore, and detrivore, feeding on small particles of anything that tickles its fancy or gets in its mouth. The feeding mode it uses varies according to its age and what habitat it's living in. So the African arowana has a different feeding than other arowanas, and that's what's so tricky about keeping them. We have to make sure that they're getting a lot of food, otherwise they're not going to thrive and they'll just perish, and you lost a lot of money because African arowanas are an expensive arowana to keep and raise, and we need to remember they have a different diet than other arowanas. And the last arowana we are going to talk about is the ever so beautiful and graceful Asian arowana. Man, I wish Asian arowanas could be kept in the United States of America because they are simply gorgeous. Look at this picture. Tell me that is not a gorgeous fish. It is. I can tell you that I have seen Asian arowanas in person because I have. There is an Asian arowana at the New England Aquarium in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you're ever in Boston, check out the New England Aquarium to see an Asian arowana for the first time in your life. Now, the Asian arowana grows to 36 inches in length. This carnivorous animal is predatory in the wild, where they surface feed, hunting in shallow, often shaded areas. They are noted for their ability to leap out of the water for food flying overhead or hanging on vegetation above the surface. And they eat prey such as insects, frogs, spiders, lizards, birds, bats, etc. Now, Asian arowanas are found in Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Even though this species is known to live up to 60 years in captivity, perhaps longer in the wild, it is endangered in the wild and is listed under CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, Appendix 1, meaning that international trade is tightly restricted. Major threats are its popularity in the aquarium hobby and declining habitats. But Asian arowanas, from what I've seen from fish keepers from Canada and the United Kingdom and all over the world, are about the same in care as keeping a silver arowana. So I can't imagine they're very difficult to keep. They're just a more expensive and more costly arowana, but it's definitely worth it. So very, very gorgeous arowana. I love the Asian arowana. I can only wish that one day Asian arowanas would become legal to keep and raise in the United States of America. So that brings us to our next topic, because I know I'm going to get this question. Why are Asian arowanas illegal in the United States of America? And that's a question that I often wondered. So I did a lot of research, and this is the answer that I found. Asian arowanas are illegal in the United States of America because they are currently on the endangered species list. The Asian arowana is covered under the U.S. Endangered Species Act. They first appeared on the world's endangered species list in 1975 and have remained on it up to the current time of today. One of the world governing bodies that control the trade of exotic fish that go on the endangered species list is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. This governing body has placed Asian arowana under Category 1. That is the most restricted category of their classification system. That's why they cannot be legally imported or sold in the United States. Another big concern the United States has with this species of fish is their eating habits. They are fierce predators that could potentially dominate a local ecosystem if released from captivity. The fear is that hobbyists will release these fish into the wild once they become too big for the fish tanks that hold them. This has gotten the Asian arowana placed on the Department of Natural Resources published list of banned species. And that is why Asian arowanas, unfortunately, are illegal here in the United States of America. But isn't that a head scratcher, though? I mean, shouldn't pacus be illegal in the United States of America? Shouldn't red-tailed catfish be illegal in the United States of America? They do serious damage here in Florida. The pacu and the red-tailed cat and tiger shovelnose. As much as I love the red-tailed cat, the pacu, and the tiger shovelnose, they should be the ones that should be illegal. I mean, it's a lot easier to house an Asian arowana that only grows to 24 to 36 inches than it is a red tail that can grow up to 5 feet. So I don't know. It's a head scratcher how the United States of America thinks sometimes. I mean, it's not like it's going to reproduce like the snakehead and destroy our environment. Plus, if they thought with their heads, the government and the United States of America pet industry would make a lot of money selling Asian arowanas because they fetch thousands and thousands of dollars per species. Now, do I think I will ever see Asian arowanas becoming legal in the United States of America? I really don't know. I mean, I would love to see it happen. I just don't know if it will. What would need to happen, I think, is that someone that is a fish enthusiast or a tropical fish keeper needs to become president. And I think then and only then maybe we can get Asian arowanas legal in the United States of America. But I am all for Asian arowanas not being illegal anymore. I would welcome the opportunity to keep and raise an Asian arowana. Does that mean I'll move to Canada or the United Kingdom? No, but I would still love the opportunity to keep an Asian arowana. All right, well, like all species episodes, it's time to show some photos and videos of other fish keepers' arowanas, and I've got some awesome images to show you. The first images are of an Asian arowana that are located at the New England Aquarium. So this is the Asian arowana that's at the New England Aquarium, and I took pictures of this Asian arowana when I went there years ago. Here is a much better photo of the Asian arowana. Perhaps not the best photo, but it gets the job done. It's a very nice, beautiful specimen. Here is a silver arowana that my fish store owner friend from Massachusetts had a number of years ago. Very, very beautiful silver arowana with some amazing tank mates. Here is a albino silver arowana that he was selling a number of years ago. Here is another juvenile albino silver arowana, and I have yet to keep an albino silver arowana. That's another arowana that's on my checklist to keep, but they're really expensive down here. Here is another gorgeous silver arowana. I like silver arowanas because they have the silver scales and the orange trim on their tail and their body. It really is a gorgeous fish. Here is a Jardini arowana that my friend was selling. Very, very gorgeous fish. The Jardini arowana gets more and more gorgeous as it matures. Very, very beautiful fish in my opinion. All right, so now let's see some videos of other fish keepers' arowanas. And we'll start with a video of a silver arowana. That is a gorgeous silver arowana. And I must say, that's also a gorgeous chocolate cichlid. Chocolate cichlids are gorgeous as they mature. That's another fish we'll have to do a species care guide on. The next video, I believe, is of a Jardini Arowana. Let's check it out. Very beautiful arowana. My arowana is dying to be fed, so after this show, I'm going to feed my arowana some tilapia. That's one of his favorite foods. So that's why he's swimming around all excited, or maybe he's just excited that I'm talking about arowanas today on this episode. So the next two videos I'm going to show you are of my friend Daryl's black arowana. Let's check it out. Awesome video by my friend Daryl. He has an amazing black arowana, and I'll show another video of his black arowana right now. All right, so those are all the videos and photos of other fish keepers' amazing arowanas that I have for you today. Reflab is in the house. Hey, Reflab, how are you? He says, show us the feeding live. That's a great idea. I might be able to do that for you. Or at the very least, I can film a video feeding the arowana. That's a great idea. I should have done that before I went live on today's video. I didn't think of that. But it is very, very cool. All right, so it's time for my final remarks on arowanas. Sad that we've pretty much reached the end of the episode because I love arowanas so much. But if you have a large aquarium, 6 foot or more, and you're looking for a fish that is going to swim at the top, a fish that is very active, and a fish that has personality and coloration, then I think the arowana is for you. You just have to understand that the arowana does have specific needs. It needs a large tank, it needs lids because it jumps, and it needs a pretty good diet, which you can provide with tilapia, market shrimp, and insects like crickets, earthworms, and cockroaches, etc. I did forget to mention that the very most popular arowana in the industry, in the aquarium hobby today, is the silver arowana. Now, the silver arowana is the arowana that is most frequently captive raised and farm raised in the aquarium hobby. And because of that, there is an albino variant of the silver arowana. And the albino arowana is generally about $500 depending on where you live. There's also a leucistic silver arowana, which means it's not a true albino, but that arowana is still very, very colorful. Now, if you're trying to decide which arowana is right for you, the silver and black, very easy to keep in terms of care. The black is a little bit more sensitive, so you want to keep them with more peacefuler fish. The silver is a very hardy arowana. The Jardini, very aggressive arowana, would be great with South and Central American cichlids, but do keep in mind it does have a track record of killing other fish. Leichardti is a little bit more peaceful and mellow, like the silver and the black arowanas. The African arowana is more of a specialty arowana that should really only be kept by true aquarium hobbyists that have experience in the aquarium hobby, because the African arowanas, they need a specialized diet. And I'm not even going to talk about Asian arowanas because we can't keep them in the United States of America. So those are my final remarks on arowanas. And should you have any questions on arowanas, I definitely will answer them. Reef Lab says, I had a 20-inch silver arowana back in the day. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, as arowanas get larger, they get really, really cool, and they start developing beautiful traits and characteristics. But also, when I was younger, for some odd reason, I was intimidated by large silver arowanas above a foot for some reason. I think it's when they jumped out of the aquarium, it startled me. But as they get larger, they are a pretty cool, interesting animal and creature, and I think they would be a great display at a zoo. So if I owned a zoo, I would create like a South American exhibit, have a large aquarium with red tail cats at the bottom, pacus and whatever, and then have some large arowanas at the top. That would be a very, very cool display for people, because fish do have a place in zoos, in my opinion, as well. He jumped out 6 times, heavy cover 2. Yeah, arowanas do jump out on occasion. Like I said earlier in the show, it's their natural instinct to jump, so it's very important to have a lid on the aquarium. All right, guys and gals, I would like to say thank you for tuning into this episode of Aquatic Wetline. I hope you learned a lot about the majestic arowana. Our next episode, I'm going to talk about the basics of keeping tiger barbs and other barbs like tinfoil barbs. So we're going to talk about barbs on the next episode of Aquatic Wetline. We're probably going to step away from monsters for that episode, but there's still a couple of larger growing species of barbs we're going to talk about on that episode. Don't forget, the September 2022 Fish Keepers Q&A is going to air on September 28th. So if you have any fish keeping questions you want me to answer, email them to Alex Go Yankees Cardinale 19@gmail.com, and I will answer all of your fish keeping questions. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale, for more fish keeping videos and all my other videos as well. So thank you for tuning in to this episode. It's been my honor and my privilege to discuss arowanas with all of you. Please take a moment to share this video with your friends on social media. Simply copy and paste the URL. I would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the fish keeping hobby. Enjoy your fish, enjoy your arowanas, and thank you so much for watching. Happy fish keeping.